Welcome once again to a review episode of The Horror with Nate
and Mike.
This week we're going into uncharted territory. We don't talk a lot about documentaries on this show because, quite frankly, there is very rarely enough gore to justify it.
Sure.
But this week, that all changes. We're looking at a documentary called The Nightmare Factory, which is currently available on Netflix streaming.
Yes. And this was one I didn't know about. Nate, you say you just stumbled upon it on Netflix?
I was fortunate enough. It was recommended to me by the Netflix machine based on other things I've watched.
Finally, something good comes from that. It is something that, fortunate enough, I don't know how I haven't heard about this, and you guys need to hear about this. Nightmare Factory is a documentary and a very well-made, very in-depth, awesome documentary on KNB Effects.
KNB Effects, headed by Craig Nicotero, Howard Berger.
Yep.
Is one of the, if not the...
It
is the
Since Tom Savini
effects
retired.
shop for gore, for zombies, for monsters.
Yep.
You name it. These are the guys, and they've been the guys for decades.
Yep.
This documentary works so well because they were also narcissistic that they always constantly film themselves.
Right.
So it's an interesting story about some guys that rise from nothing to be kings of their corner of the universe.
Right.
But you get to see every step of the way as they are working on movies that we praise here on The Horror week in and week out.
Absolutely. Yeah, they first got their very first side jobs, intern jobs on Day of the Dead. So there's behind-the-scenes footage of shooting Day of the Dead.
Which features some of the greatest zombie and gore effects ever put on film.
Absolutely. And Tom Savini gets interviewed. John Carpenter gets interviewed. George Romero gets interviewed. They then move on to the first thing they do is Evil Dead 2, in which you get awesome,
incredible behind-the-scenes stuff
I've seen.
Incredible.
Yeah, behind the scenes of Evil Dead 2. That was by far worth the price of it.
You know, I realized watching that if the makers of this documentary did a documentary just about the making of Evil Dead 2...
Which they say they could because they filmed all the time.
I would love to watch that movie.
Yeah, no kidding. That is a really awesome section where you get all types of behind-the-scenes shot, like where the reanimated corpse of... What's his girlfriend's name? Linda. Comes running in headless with the chainsaw. You see Howard Berger on a skateboard underneath powering that as they shoot that scene.
And you see Sam Raimi there, you know, and he's just like encouraging, hit him harder.
Yeah, that is awesome. And they have worked on almost every substantial horror movie throughout our time.
Right, and currently they're the go-to effects guys for Tarantino's movies.
Yeah, and Walking Dead.
And The Walking Dead. Nicotero has actually worked his way up to being a director as well as the effects coordinator for that show.
Yep. And we get one of the sad drawbacks to the documentary is I was like, they give so many fast clips and stuff. I'm like, what the fuck was that from?
Right.
What was that from? There's just so many crazy gore effects, and they show how ones are done in clips from movies that, I mean, it's so fascinating. And these guys you'll go on the trip with them. They are, a bit narcissistic, but they're awesome guys.
But they're the best at what they do. So a little bit of that is totally acceptable.
Yeah, and I really like Howard Berger. I think he's a really charming, very easy to listen to type of guy. Just so much love of horror all through every single moment of this. One of my favorite hidden things in here, and not hidden, but moments in here is seeing John Carpenter go full curmudgeon.
Yeah.
And everyone's just talking. Oh, Greg Nicotero, everybody's so great. And he's just like, let me tell you a story about these motherfuckers.
You know, he always feels like he's like in super troll mode.
Oh, I love it.
Me too.
He's such a he's just smoking cigarettes, looking like the Crypt Keeper. He's like, every single makeup effects person is a prima donna diva. And like Greg Nicotero's like, John Carpenter said that? Okay, you want to play, John? I'll tell some stories about you. And they go back and forth on the shooting of like Ghost of Mars.
Right.
And he was like, they want to tell you how to set up shots and blah, 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 and they want to run your set. And he was like, he wouldn't do anything that we asked him to do in the makeup effects world. It is just so much fun to see John Carpenter just talk shit about them in their own documentary.
Now, one aspect of it that, aside from the great personalities and all the great movies that they do, is it's interesting as the years unfold seeing how the business itself changes.
Right.
You know, near the end, they get into a little bit of the death of practical effects and how CGI and just, we'll just do that in post has made it a lot harder for FX people to find, you know, jobs like they used to, and how these guys have evolved with that, which is just fascinating, the way the technology has changed the way they do their jobs.
Right. Yeah, and that they're so apt to adapt to any of these things that get thrown at them. They're like, yeah, we can use this. One of the most famous zombies, I think, after Bubs and after Tarman is the Walking Dead first episode zombie.
Sure, the half a lady.
Yeah, and that's all makeup effects with green screen bottom half. And so it's combining these things, and he knows how to use visual effects with them to make the best results possible. And it's a must-see if you like makeup effects, if you like gore effects. Like I said, Tom Savini talks in it a lot and gives some feedback and things.
What? I would take it a step further and say it's a must-see for anybody that loves movies. Even if you don't like horror movies, then they're going to, show some clips that are beyond the pale. Like,
I was about to say
the entire Piranha 3D.
Yeah,
like they get it. But on the other hand, it's another facet of movie magic.
Yeah, exactly. It shows that part of it, so it should make them less.
It makes it less gross because they show you the gore while the people that are wearing it are sort of laughing on set in between.
Yeah.
So, I would recommend this for movie fans across the board, but in particular, horror folks.
Horror fans, this is a must-see. It is awesome. You will love it. You're very welcome. I thank Nate for recommending it to me wholeheartedly, and you will thank both of us for recommending it to you. Check it out. Nightmare Factory, now streaming on Netflix. Check it out before they take it away randomly, who knows when.
Right, replacing it with something that sucks.
It is an ASAP watch.
Yeah, I would rank it. I would give it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, documentaries. It's not like rating a movie. Is this going to be classic or did it? It's a 10. It's a really good documentary. What else do you expect from it? Complete watch. Watch this shit. It's a classic. It's a new classic that I will watch probably more than I should.
Yeah, I've already watched it a few times. Nightmare Factory. Check it out. We will be back at you with more reviews, top 5 countdowns, full podcasts. We've got a 2015 preview episode coming up in the near future.
Yes.
Or possibly recent past, depending on when you're listening to this.
Right.
Until next time, this has been The Horror, and I am Nate.
And I'm Mike. We'll see you next time, guys.